Hello, Ham Fam, and welcome back to Radio Home Shopping Network. I am Toby Behan. It's good to see you again. Today, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about Aurora, the newest radio from Flex Radio. And Aurora is a 500-watt HF transmitter on 160 meters through 10 meters with 200 watts on 6 meters. How can they do this in the small size of a regularly sized Flex Radio? Well, let's talk about it. All right, I'm just kidding. Enough of all that fun. I did have a chance to sit down with some of the folks at Flex Radio, though, and I got to hear about the new Aurora radio. And yeah, it comes in a couple of different models, the 510, the 510M, the 520, and the 520M. When there's an M indicator, that implies that it has basically the Maestro front display. So if you are familiar with the Flex Radio lineup, you know that there's one that just looks like a box, like my 8600 here at home. And then there's one with the M, which gives you that Maestro front panel, if that's something that you're interested in. And yeah, we're dropping the embargo on this baby, so we're letting you know about it. But yeah, this is a 500-watt transmitter that is all-inclusive of that box. It takes in 120 or 240 volt, and it gives you 500-watt output, which is really impressive. And so you're thinking, hey, Josh, there's already radio companies that are doing 200-watt output radios, and that's kind of been the highest that a lot of them will go before you then have to get an amplifier. So how is it that Flex is getting 300 more watts output? Well, it's because it is polar modulation, and that's one of the big differences that you're going to see with this radio. Not only that, it's small and it's super efficient on power, and it runs cool. You're like, wait, why is... how is this all? How are we only hearing about this now? Well, it's not like it's new technology per se, but it's something that hasn't really been used in the amateur radio space. There's non-linearity amplification that's going into the polar modulation that the Aurora allows. And you can look this up if you want. There's a page I'll link for polar modulation. It is on Wikipedia. You can find out more information. It's largely used in like digital radio, but because of that, they can't really work with linear RF power amplifiers. Now, during the talk, the Flex guys did tell us, of course, that you can use a standard linear amplifier if you want to. I don't know what that looks like. In fact, you're going to have to go to the Flex Radio booth at Hamvention if you want to know more about that. But the really big thing here is, again, 500 watts output in a base station radio, which is pretty much unheard of. And yes, you can go lower than that too if you want to run QRP, for instance, or just a base station 100-watt barefoot type power.
So it is the first significant advancement in transmitter technology since the 1970s. So we're producing an HF transceiver that has an integrated 500-watt transmitter. And so instead of being 40 to 60% efficient, it's 80 to 90% efficient. And what we have in the radio is not a power amplifier. It is a standalone, and so it can't be used as a standalone amplifier. It's actually a transmitter that has to be integrated into the exciter. And with that efficiency, we have less power input required. That means there's less heat to reject, which means a smaller heat sink, which means less weight in a smaller box, all those kind of things that go with it. And the military calls this low swap, for low size, weight, and power.
The reason why the radio is so efficient is because it is using switch mode amplification instead of linear amplification. Much like the change we saw in the past where we went from large, heavy linear power supplies to switch mode power supplies, you can think of a similar thing here with the Aurora radio. Its amplification, 500 watts, is really small. Plus, it is very efficient, thus it creates less heat. You need a less sized heat sink to make it effective or reliable, and you get a much smaller package, which means it's only 18 pounds. This was pretty interesting when I heard about this live during the talk.
So to go compare this against, the other solution I showed you, which was buying a 500-watt PA and a tuner, instead of 47 pounds, this unit's 18 pounds. So it's only 1.3 times the weight of a 100-watt radio. And it's considerably cheaper than what it would cost you to put all those pieces together. And it's also completely integrated. So you buy one box. The box is in the same size as our Flex 6000 and 8000s, but it's a 500-watt radio, and it plugs in directly to AC power, so you don't need an external power supply for it. Okay, so this is our word problem for you today. If a ham with a 40% efficient 500-watt radio generates 800 watts of transmitter heat, how much heat does his friend with an 80% efficient 500-watt transmitter generate? I mean, most people would guess that because your efficiency has been doubled, that you would use half of the power generated in heat. But the percentage is misleading, and what actually happens is you only generate 125 watts of heat, the way that it works out. And so that's a 2-scale graph on the left of what it would take you using today's MOS and LD MOS technology to generate 500 watts of RF with 800 watts of heat compared to Aurora, which only generates 125 watts of heat out of a 500 watt.
Putting this into more context, if your standard radio at home is 40% efficient, meaning you get 40% RF out and the rest is heat, then an 80% efficient transceiver is going to give you a 6x reduction in heat generation, which you can go ahead and pause that if you want to check the math. This is coming from the Flex guys. Go talk to them if they didn't get that right. Now, considering that this is a new kind of modulation, or at least one we haven't really seen in amateur radio, there's questions like, will it do FT8? Will you be able to do CW? Do you have to lower the power output to change all that? And the answer is yes, it supports all the mode of operations that you typically want to do. And they've been able to run it at full duty cycle, 500 watts, for multiple hours. In fact, I saw an image of a CW key with a brick on top of it straight out into a dummy load where they tested the heat that's on the dummy load, and they were getting the full power output into that bad boy, and they let it run for multiple hours, which is pretty amazing.
In this picture, on the left is a radio. This is sitting on a bench in our lab. In the middle is a dummy load, and then right to the right of it, we've got a CW key with a brick on it.
There you go. Now, you might look at these as downsides. I kind of more or less look at them as things we have to now understand if we're going to consider polar modulation. But you can't just take the amplifier, the PA, out of the Aurora and put it into another radio. Unfortunately, you can't just take the PA, the power amplifier, out of the Aurora and shove it into any standard traditional radio. You pretty much have to use it as all one thing. As well, the radio itself is way more picky about the match you give it, so the antenna per se. So the radio will come with a 3-to-1 matching unit, but it starts to fold back at 1.7 to 1 SWR.
It is worth mentioning that it is more sensitive to the load impedance. So power foldback begins at 1.7 to 1 today. We may loosen that somewhat in the future, but as a result of that, we don't want this to be used without an antenna tuner. So we integrate an ATU into every Aurora radio. So it has a 500 watt antenna tuner inside,
which is more than a traditional radio at about 3-to-1 SWR depending. You're going to get fold back a lot earlier, so you always want to give it as best a match for the frequency you're operating on wherever possible. If you're familiar with the current Flex lineup with the 8400 and the 8600, then you can think of the AU510, Aurora 510, as the same thing as the 8400, and the 8600 is the same thing as the AU10. So you get two SEUs and competition-grade pre-selectors. The AU510 has two antenna connectors that you both have an output of 500 watts, and it has two internal receivers. The AU520 has 6 antenna connectors, 2 of which provide the 500 watts output, and it has 4 internal receivers. And those internal receivers can be placed on any one of those antennas that you have. So think of the multi-slice setup that you might have with a standard Flex, 8400, 8600, or as a comparison, like a 6400. The same concept of operation with a slight change in that you're going to get 500 watts out, and the user interface is going to be a little bit different.
In this particular case, the efficiency was not 100. It was probably 90, but the meter wasn't reading right. But there's our temperature gauge. And when I did and this is in centigrade, which we'll also have to change, make it so you can see that. But it did make it above 40 C with a brick on the key for 2 hours. And we were running something over 500. This says 600.
I was going to say, you're running a little hot there. You're getting 600 watts output.
I think it was 550 or so is where we actually were. And that meter needs calibration as well. So this is pretty early unit when I take this picture. But yeah.
You're telling me there's a restrictor plate in this thing. If I remove the restrictor plate, I get a 50 extra horsepower?
Little green wire.
Yeah.
That's where the green wire went.
Everyone in NASCAR cheats anyway, so you
that's
might
right.
as well
Yeah. Now, for most people, the 500 watt output is what a lot of people have at home with amplifiers. So the question is like, I already have a radio. Why would I want to look at an Aurora? Well, if you got like a base station 100 watt radio and you're thinking about upgrading to an amp, then maybe the Aurora would be an option for you in that you could have one box, no amplifiers needed, a more efficient transmitter, and the ability to kind of remote it wherever you'd want. Because again, it's a lightweight box. You take it anywhere, give it internet connection, and it's a really good remote setup in that case, particularly if you're like in a hot environment and you have to run air conditioners all the time to keep the temp down to run the radio. Well, this is, again, a lot more efficient, requires less power, and so you could probably get away with less heating and cooling as well. Now, something I'll have to see to believe is POTA operation. So if you didn't pick this up already, it doesn't take DC at all. It takes AC. And so you would have to give this radio 120 volts if you are, in the US region, or 240 volts if you're in other regions. That means that in your portable setups, you may have to use like an EcoFlow type battery or something with a clean transverter to be able to get it powered up and running. Would you use this on Parks on the Air? I mean, I would definitely try it. Who knows? I may try it in the future. It is an interesting concept that instead of lugging a big DC battery, we now have to have a consideration of AC and how we might bring that into the field. I know that my truck can output AC, and so that would be something easy to do, and having one box that does 500 watts output seems pretty cool. Something that I think is going to be pretty unique with this radio, and I hope it takes off, is the concept of use of on de-expeditions. So de-expeditions have long time had difficulty in getting not just the power to run the radios into the field, but also the power in form of an amplifier to get that watts up to help make as many contacts as possible for the people that are supporting de-expeditions and whatnot. 500 watts at your fingertips with one little box makes it really easy to bring into the field. You only need to give it the 120 volts and you should be good to go. That's a very intriguing position for a de-expedition. I'm really curious to see how that will go with, some of these big DXers that are out there and people who run like the sled, that portable thing we looked at when we were in Visalia. Something like this on board with that would be really, really cool. An interesting consideration is that this will not do Mars or out-of-band operation. It is locked for the amateur radio bands. I don't know what the technical reason is for that. Maybe those of you in the comments can help fill me in a little bit on that, because I'm not aware of it myself. Not much of a problem for some folks, but for some of you, it may be a deal breaker. Now, to be as accurate as possible, this will take 100 volts AC up to 240 volts AC. So you can actually be under 120 and still get 100% output with it. I don't know if it starts to fold back significantly below 100. That's something that will remain to be tested. Something I'll be interested in the future, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, the rapid fire questions. Can you use an external ATU? Absolutely, but you probably need something that'll handle 500 watts. Can you use it with an external amplifier? Yes, you can, but most external amplifiers don't want to take 100 watts unless you have a really nice solid state amplifier. Most will take drive much lower than that to give you maximum power output. So you could blow that sucker up real fast. So be careful with that. Price is going to be listed at flexradio.com, or if you're at Hamvention this weekend, go check it out. And they are pretty much available. Q4 of 2025 is when they're suspected to be shipping, which is really, really cool. And for those of you that are wondering, kind of like myself, if you've just bought a Flex, like an 8600, and you might want to trade it in for an Aurora, not at this time. They haven't figured out if they're going to do anything like that at this time. Yes, it does support SmartLink and Multiflex. Does the Aurora support transverters? Yes, it does as well. So again, pretty much everything you'd expect from the 6000 or 8000 Flex, it's got covered. All in all, this is a pretty fascinating little piece of radio, and I actually also heard that the Aurora nameplate in the front is colored, and it changes color, I think. You can go see one live if you're at Hamvention. Right now, they have them on display, so if you are watching me and you are in the Ohio area, well, you better get your buns on over to the Flex Radio booth and check it out like I will probably right now. So this is a very cool concept from Flex. I can already see the value of people who actually remote their stations and they have power constraint issues. Maybe they're running on full battery backup. You'll still have to do some inversion and whatnot, but I see that as being a more effective option. If you'd like a nice clean setup in your shack with less wires, this will work great, particularly if you wanted to get that 500 watt output. It's one less amplifier to buy. As far as the cost, buying an amplifier and a radio oftentimes will boost the price significantly. And it's my understanding from some preliminary numbers, again, go to flexradio.com for the final on that. But the cost of one Aurora versus a Flex 8400 or 8600 plus an amplifier that would get you to 500 watts is going to be more than just buying the Aurora up front. And that's probably going to be a sweet spot for a lot of people that are looking at Flex radios. So if you're kind of in the market for a Flex radio, something that does this fully capable multi-sliced SDR, then this is a compelling option. I'm really going to be interested to see how this all goes with the market and the ham radio community. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much to Flex Radio for letting me take a look at this, or at least hearing the talk they provided. I'll try to link to whatever information I can. This is an embargo drop. I've really never done one of these before. So, yeah, I'm going to drop whatever links I can at the time other than flexradio.com and give you some more information where possible. But yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts on the new Flex Radio Aurora. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already considered subscribing, hit that bell so you know when I go live again, which is probably going to be in a couple minutes as we go live at Hamvention. I'm Josh KI6NAZ on behalf of Toby. What was his name? Toby Behan? Sure. 73.